There are a lot of talks about reparations here in 2023, and it's been going on for a long time with not an understanding of reparations. Um, if not most importantly, it's up there. There has to be some realization of personal responsibility, even with reparations. Kind of an acceptance of what you allowed to happen in your life. There's a saying today that once you know better, you do better. The unfortunate truth, though, is sometimes people know to do better, they just choose not to. It's a choice not made on an intellectual level, it's made on an emotional level because you get so used to being something. You make a clear choice to continue to be that something while complaining that something else would have been better, as though you don't have authority to change it. I was talking to someone yesterday about business principles. I didn't go to him, he came to me. He came to this mercy seat. I didn't ask him to come. I welcomed him in because he wanted to come. And by the way, we all have a mercy seat. And so I spoke to him, even though he was speaking all over the place. I spoke to him about the direction which he was asking for from this point forward, for which, after much confusion or chaos, sifting through it, reiterated the direction. Now, whether he chooses that direction or not, he has it. Based on solid principles, tried and true, experienced professionals who have wisdom, for which I'm helped to get him connected with. So far, he has chosen not to connect with these people. So this has been over a period of time. Will he choose to humble himself to that person who has the wisdom to help him in this time of need, and he's been given a seed to do so? The proper use of the seed is going to be up to him. My job was to serve. And I did my part. I feel good about it. And then he left, offering lunch. So we killed a lamb, some broccoli, or dinner. We killed a lamb, some broccoli, some fafolel, is that what it's called? Fafel? It's like little cornballs. We call them hush puppies, but you know what I'm saying. I'm having a little fun, but you get the point. Reparations is not just give me back what I believe I deserve. Reparations is aligning you up back into right relationship so that you can move forward on the right path. It's interesting, reparations is in Levi chapter 16. The word for reparations is different, but it's there. I'm going to share it with you. But before I share that with you, or as I share that with you, I want to share with you. Now, again, this is archaic language. Okay, so it's not something that you're going to rightly understand. And keep in mind what I'm saying here, and what I have been saying, and I will continue to say. This is for my grandchildren. This is for my brothers and sisters in Kenya. If this is a blessing to you, then so be it. We're studying Genesis to Revelation. And the purpose is to translate this into 21st century language so that it is more understandable for us folk here. I believe God has given me the mandate to do that. But study to show yourself approved. This is not a joke. And I'm honored to be doing it. I consider it a big deal. So, a couple things I want to show you. In Leviticus chapter 16, it is starting off as the chapter it is, but in the context of things, it's not. I see why they sectioned it off as a separate chapter, but it goes from cleansing male and female their issues to cleansing the high priest after the death of his two sons. That's the flow from chapter 15 to chapter 16. And the Lord spoke unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and died. Verse 2, and the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, and he come not at all times, brother, that he come not at all times into the holy within the veil before the mercy seat, which upon the ark, that he die not. And I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. This one sliver I want to read you out of verse 3 so you understand. Thus shall Aaron come. I'm going to leave it there for right now, because then it gets off into the confusing offerings for most people. Let me just say this. The offerings, the way they're set up, to me, are masterful. They're set up in a way where you're acknowledging your sin, you're acknowledging you're coming humbly before God, acknowledging that you're the weaker vessel. In Greek terminology, the church is a female. Hebrew is not necessarily presented that way, but you're the weaker vessel coming and asking for acknowledgement from God. That's why the tabernacle of the congregation has been set up. Without God, there's chaos. I hope you understand that. So we have to have the higher power above us so that we can check in with someone that has a standard larger than ourselves. And the death of Aaron's two sons, I know, was probably surprising to Aaron. I probably not so much Moses, because of his deep relationship up to that point. That's one thing I want to offer to you. The second thing I want to offer, so you understand, we come humbly before the throne of grace, is the way it reads in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, what I'm showing you out of Leviticus 16, you come into the throne of grace, again, a Greek terminology, but you come to the mercy seat when God shows up there. And then when you come into the mercy seat, you come in a particular way. These are laws. These are just spiritual laws. And again, they're brilliant, but we don't do things that way, but they can be translated in 21st century. Because honestly, the New Testament is old too. That's the new Old Testament. If you understand what I mean. Most of us, some of us are, but most of us are not only on are not on farms. Most of us, some of my brothers and sisters in Kenya are literally on farms, but you're not bringing the gift of a cow or the gift of a bullock in most cases. Although you may trade bullocks and cows amongst each other, and I hope you are if you have farms. Getting back to the context, with that said, understanding in Leviticus the first part of that, let's address the issue of why the sons died. Number one reason why they died is they came near God. And the second part is they came near God worthy of death. Why? Going back to what we talked about before in the previous video, is because they brought strange fire. But let me read this again so you understand. On the day in chapter 16, verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, and this is when he explains it, when they offered before the Lord and died. An offering shouldn't kill you if you're offering it to the Lord, but they offered before the Lord and died. The offering is, they came near the Lord and died, and this word died is worthy of death. Now, with that said, we're not back there. Let's talk about it up here. We're talking about reparations, right? If he is the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, that means there are lowercase lords and lowercase kings as well. If you have wronged someone, and in wronging someone, you did something so egregious that you didn't physically die, but you're no longer acceptable. Let's put it that way. You're dead to them. How about that? You're dead to them. And you're going before the mercy seat. And the reason, what made them not worthy is they offered up what's called strange fire. Just in case you didn't go back to the previous videos or you're not following along on this journey, they offered up strange fire. And offering up strange fire means that they offered up incense offerings. They filled their censers up with incense. And the fire that they used to light the incense and the timing was wrong. In other words, it was not a time for offering incense. And I think the strange fire was off of the wrong table. I think, personally, so study to show yourself approved, they lit their censers or tried to light their censers and got burned up. They tried to light their censers off of the burnt offering and the sin offering, where that is. Again, that's me, but you should study. There's an incense table, there's the Holy of, what they call the Holy of Holies behind the veil, and then there's the burnt offering is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. I think they did it there. And whatever their reasoning was for doing it, because I don't have a revelation on that. I don't have a revelation on why they decided to offer strange fire to the Lord. Because they were highly trained. They were highly trained because when it was time to go up to the mountain, when Moses, excuse me, I don't know, I have some stuffiness. When Moses went up to the mountain with Joshua, and they went up there to hear from God, and they were there with Aaron on the lower level of the mountain. They were highly trained. They went through the whole process with Moses. They had been ordained into the ministry. They had their holy garments. It was explained to them. All the laws were explained to them. They made the decision to try to deceive God, elevate themselves, offering the incense offering, which has a particular reason for offering, off of, and again, in my opinion, off the wrong, from the wrong place. So that's the reason why they died. So when they came near him and offered what they offered and they died, it was because they were doing the wrong thing in general. So the first thing that has to happen in verse 2, and the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times in the holy place. In other words, that's not the place to come. You come to the holy place because my presence is there. You come when the cloud shows up on the mercy seat. So let me put it like this. You come when you're appointed to come. You come when you're asked to come. I tell people often, don't try to sell me. I'm just not there anymore. I'm just not interested in being talked into anything. In dealing with God, it's not a matter of talking God into anything. God already has a plan for our life. So when you come before the mercy seat, it's because you've been invited. He already knows what to do. And the first thing he says was, come in with your sin offering. So let me put it a different way. You come in fact, let me read it. Verse 3, 16:3. Thus shall Aaron come into the holy with a young bullock for a sin offering. Just to read it. So the first, now you can come in, now you can talk about money. It's not about money. The sin offering is all about coming in with the right heart condition, understanding that you have sinned. It's just not deep. Let me put it like this. Don't approach someone who is Lord or boss or CEO or senior pastor or whatever. It's a principle, folks. It's a principle for living. As though you have all the answers, you come in a humble way, offering your sin offering. What is your sin offering? I'm glad you asked. The Bible says there's no more offering for sin. So the sin offering of yesterday is not the sin offering for today. The sin offering today is Jesus the Christ. So you come in with your sin offering. Or how about this? You come in with the right attitude to serve. Because Jesus, being your sin offering, and we'll get into that because these videos are starting to get longer. But again, when we're taking the language of Leviticus, the Old Testament, and translating it, I want to explain it in a way where it sparks you to go do your own study. That's going to take some time. So I'm doing reparations part 2. If you're interested, stay tuned.